Hello and welcome to Talking with Famous People. We're talking socionics, names, numbers, the thing that caused me a great deal of confusion, the issue of which is the role function, and dimensionality. So let's look first at some of these are great charts here at backwardstimemachine.files.wordpress.com, all that stuff you see in the URL there. So duality, characterized by mutual benefit functions, information elements, the 8 mental categories that play a key role in interpersonal interaction. So that's one thing that we want to consider as a term that they use. Intertype relations, quadras, and socion, the set of all socionic types. So this person, whose name they shortened to Augusta or something like that, structural approach to the function of the human psyche made it possible to go far beyond the theory of psychological types. The main advantage of socionics is the intertype relations theory. Knowing the basic mechanics of type interactions can anticipate the development of human relationships with incredible accuracy. This makes it a very powerful tool when dealing with problems in relationships. Generally, a minimum amount of knowledge of socionics is irreplaceable in any field of human activity where more than one person is involved with having to work or live together. I tend to agree. I find this stuff has changed my entire life and how I deal with other people and situations in general, just trying to understand their behaviors as manifestations of cognitive functions rather than as these random shit that just annoys you because it's different than you think, you know. So you'll see here, these are the names that I would like to get accustomed to using because they're so much more they eliminate the PJ confusion. ILE is the ENTP. SEI, sensory ethical introvert, is the ISFP. You know, so these are good to know. I'm not going to read them all out loud, but what I'm getting towards here is let's talk about this informational elements comparison chart. I think this is an important one because it tells us how to understand the socio through not just the functions, but the how those things match up. So for NE, they say potentiality intuition is a good name for it. NI, temporal intuition. Intangible connections between processes separated in time and space. Sense of when things might happen, pattern of events, abstract representations of processes. SE is volitional sensing, and SI is experiential sensing, which is a nice way of just differentiating between those as well. Outward traits of objects, form, shape, strength, power, readiness, willpower, mobilization, the location of objects in space is SE, whereas tangible connections between processes happening in one place and time, how events affects one's inner state, sensations, what one experiences physically. Then TE and TI are described as algorithmic logic and structural logic, which is another kind of nice distinction there. I think we understand what algorithmic logic is pretty easily enough. It's pretty straightforward. But the description of structural logic is logical relations between objects, systems of rules and categories, hierarchies, comparisons of quantifiable properties, logical judgments. Algorithmic logic they call external activity of objects, events, what, how, where, activity, behavior, algorithms. And then the distinction they make for FE and FI on this informational elements thing is emotive ethics is FE, internal activity of objects, internal processes, mood, emotional activity and arousability, emotional content, and relational ethics, subjective relationships between objects, feelings of attraction and repulsion, like, dislike, need, and antipathy, moral, subjective judgments. Okay, but this part here, where we're talking about the number, right? So your type has got 1 and 2. 1 and 2 are the block called the ego block, and this includes your leading function, which is the dominant function, and the creative function, which is your second function. Well, they don't use, the letters are a little bit different because if you're talking about socionics, ENTJ is actually the one that's going to be ENTP. No, I'm sorry, ENTP is still the same here. NETI, that's ILE, that's me. But INTP is actually INTJ, TINE. So that's where it gets confusing. That's why I would like to start using these instead, but I haven't quite gotten the hang of them yet. So the key here is, this is one of the things I was having a lot of difficulty with, was this issue of which is named the role function. It seems to indicate here it is in fact the third function, and it's what when a person is actively using his leading function, the roll function is essentially turned off. The two cannot both be on at the same time because they represent two opposing approaches. Two opposing approaches. Okay, so in other words, it says here that your dominant function is your is going to be in contrast with your roll function, but the roll function, which is that doesn't make any sense if we're talking about FE for the ENTP. I don't think that makes sense. I think NE and FE use it.
We're numbering it differently.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get to the bottom of. Why do they have the number 3 here if it's not the third one in your stack? What number is it actually?
The third one in their stack. It's just their stack is using a different numbering order.
Okay,
that
so
would be ENTP, NE, TI, S, E, F.
so it goes 1, 1, 2, 8. Then what? SE and what?
Let's see, 8 and 7.
Okay, and then what about, and then 5 and 6? No, I'm sorry. Then what? What's suggestive? 3?
That probably is 5.
No, that's ignoring. Ignoring is 5. Demonstrative is 6. So yeah, okay. Suggestive is 3.
Now, are we talking? I'm getting confused. Are we talking about like BB5 or like?
Look,
Socionics 5 right here?
I'm trying to get a simple equation here, and it's been remarkably difficult to get. I've been shocked by how difficult it is to get this simple answer,
Look at
which
the picture below this one, and I think it'll help you out maybe. Like, it tells you the orders of the functions for each one, and it might help you.
All right, that's exactly what we need. So, okay, now we know 1 and 2 are the same. 3 and 4 correspond to 8 and 7. 5 and 6 correspond to 3 and 4, and 7 and 8 correspond to 5 and 6. Is that incredibly confusing? Absolutely. But the reason it's that way is because of this ego block thing. Okay, so to make a simple chart, 1 equals 1, 2 equals 2, 3 equals 8, 4 equals 7, 5 equals 3, and 6 equals 4, and 7 equals 5, and 8 equals 6. That's the chart, everybody. 1 equals 1, 2 equals 2, 3 equals 8, 4 equals 7, 5 equals 3, 6 equals 4, 7 equals 5, and 8 equals 6. Why can't I get a clear answer to that question? Because nobody wants to tell you that. That's just so impossibly confusing that nobody could possibly even understand what that means, right? If you tell them, all right, look, everybody, here's the reality about socionics, numbering, and naming systems. It's really simple. You know the cognitive function stack that you know from MBTI, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? It goes like this. 1 is 1, 2 is 2, 3 is 8, 4 is 7, 5 is 3, 6 is 4, 7 is 5, and 8 is 6. What's the problem? Simple. Right? I mean, who's gonna make any fucking sense of that at all? It's insane. How frustrating.
I do see that if your first function in the socionics is like an adaptive function, all the first 4 are adaptive functions. And then all the last 4 are directive functions. And
so you mean this... Wait, hold on. Just to clarify, are you telling me this rule is not accurate? It depends?
No, I mean, I can see a way to remember it. It's just that you have to know the difference between an adaptive function and a directive function.
Okay, but does this numbering system work for all of them or no? Does 1 equals 1, 2 equals 2?
Yeah, I think it does.
Okay, fine. That's all I need to know. It just, wow! How mean is that of them to do that? That's so mean. That's so unnecessarily confusing.
Well, actually, Socionics probably made it first.
Right. Well, I think Socionics was trying to accurately describe the universe rather than make it easy for people who learned MBTI first.
In Soviet Russia, 1 is 2 and 2 is 1.
Actually, one and 1 is 2 and 2. It's 3 that's 8. Eccentric. Yeah. You were close though.
I thought Socionics came out in like the 70s. I mean, at the time, MBTI didn't have like an 8-function stack.
Right. Well, I'm not saying Socionics isn't better. I'm just saying I wish I had learned it first. Basically.
I bet everyone does.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, hopefully we've clarified this issue, which has caused me such discomfort. And if you are a viewer and keeps pulling your hair out, going, "No, Eric, that's wrong." Well, you're right. I was wrong, and now I understand how to be less wrong in the future. Thanks for watching Talking with Famous People.